Hey, what's up everybody? Ralph here. So today's topic, I want to go over tips to improve your credit score if you're someone that's looking to purchase a home. Now, you need to understand, like, banks are very cautious with their money. They want to make sure if they're going to loan you money, they want to make sure that they're loaning their money to a responsible borrower, right? So they'll go over, and if you've ever bought a house before, they go over a long list of things when they're going through the process of making sure that you're a qualified buyer. Like, even for me, when I was going through the process, like, they make sure they ask for your pay stubs. They, obviously W-2. They want to make sure they check your credit score. They're checking all different types of things to make sure that you are a responsible user. So it's important if you're someone that's probably doesn't have a great credit score. You're trying to build up your credit in order to buy a house, or if you're just going through the process of searching for a home. You want to make sure that your credit score is up to par. You want to make sure it's ready and ready to set to go for banks, so they don't they make sure they qualify for that loan. So the first thing is making sure you pay outstanding debts. I remember when I went to go purchase my condo back in 2010, as they were going through the process, and I had a good credit score at the time. It was in the 700s. But there was one thing that they wanted me to do before they went process the loan. I had a credit card debt of, like, say, about $2,500, and they wanted me to pay that off, before they approved me for the loan. And it wasn't that much debt, but it's just one of the little things that they require you to do. Like, when they see some debts out there, like whether it's credit cards or any type of loans, I mean, not even just personal loans or anything like that, they want to make sure that that's paid off, to make sure that you are 100% qualified for that loan. And another thing that's important an important factor is your DTI, which is debt to income. So it's the debt relative to how much income you make. So let's say that you make about $5,000 a year, right? And you have a total debt of about $2,500, okay? So that's going to be a debt DTI of 50%. Right? So they want to make sure you're no higher than that. Want someone as low as possible, right? Or they'll disqualify you for that loan. So it's important to make sure that you have, and if any outstanding debt that you have, you want to make sure you pay that off. Regardless of what it is, if it's a credit card, make sure you're paying that balance off. If you have any loans, outstanding loans or anything like that, make sure you pay it off. And they'll let you know. They'll let you know, all right, make sure to pay this off. Like, even if you don't pay it off, like, once you're going through the loan process, the approval process, they're gonna say, can you pay off that debt before we qualify you? And they did that to me. I was like, all right, cool. It was a Discover card. It was about $2,500. Just paid that off. And then once I did that, I was good. I was qualified. All right. So making sure that you're paying any outstanding debt is going to be crucial, and to making sure you get approved for a loan. And the banks will they'll tend to let you know exactly what you need to do. And if they're in communication with you, they'll say, all right, you need to do this before we go forward with the loan. All right. So number 2, get on track with payments. Right. If you want to kill your credit, the easiest way to do that is miss payments. All right. Banks do not want to see any missed payments on any type of debt that you have. All right. On-time payments, payment history is one of the most important things. It accounts for about 35% of your credit score. So if you're missing payments, if banks see that you're missing payments, they're gonna be like, all right, what's up with this missed payment that you have? What is it? Something that you forgot, or why did you have this missed payment? They're going to want to know why you missed that payment. If you have multiple missed payments, then they're going to automatically say, all right, this person's not a responsible user, so they're more than likely going to not approve you for that loan, right? So if you're trying to buy a house, make sure you're checking, make sure you're always making on-time payments. And if you haven't missed payments, they technically can stay there. They tend to stay there for like 7.5 years, unless you can find a way to get that off your credit report. But don't miss payments. You want to make sure you're making payments on time on anything like credit cards, car loans, any type of mortgage that you have. Make sure you're making payments. So if you're looking to buy the house, make sure that your payment history is on point, because they will disqualify you for that. That's a very important factor when it comes to getting approved for any type of loan, right? So number 3, make sure you have any credit cards that you have, make sure you keep them open. A lot of times, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to deal with credit cards, so they want to close the account. That's a big mistake. Right? Because once you close these accounts, it's going to drop your credit score, right? So if you have credit cards open and you're like, I don't want to deal with credit cards, and you're looking to buy a house, do not close them before you get that house. If you want to close them after you're approved for the loan and you closed on the house. I would recommend that you don't do that unless you feel yourself you're not a responsible credit card user. Then of course you should close them, but don't do it before you get you get proof of the house. Make sure to do it afterwards, all right? Because that's going to drop your credit score. And you want, obviously you want to make sure your credit score is as high as possible when it comes to making a purchase on that house. All right. Now, number 4, make sure your utilization rate as low as possible. And the utilization rate is making sure that, let's say you have a $1,000 credit card, if you have a balance of 500, that's a 50% utilization rate. So the higher that is, the less, the more riskier banks see you as a borrower. So you need to make sure you keep it, a lot of people recommend like 30%. I recommend that you keep it as low as possible. For me, I keep it at 10%. I keep it at 10% because the higher it is, the more impact it has on your credit score. But people recommend 30%. If you can keep it below that, you should be good. And if you're going to get that loan, make sure if you can just pay it off, whatever debt, that credit card that you have, just pay it off right before the credit card. And it goes to point number 1, like they want to make sure that any outstanding debts, they want to make sure that's cleared up. So if you're going to purchase a home and they're going through that process, make sure as you're using that credit card, pay it off right away, because you don't want anything like preventing you from getting that home. So that's number 4. Number 5 is avoid applying for too much credit, right? Now these are the inquiries, right? Now they don't impact your score that much, no more than like 10 points. Sometimes it's less than that. But the problem with a lot of people and people with bad credit is like if you look on their credit report, you'll see tons of inquiries, right? So these are people that are applying for debt, whether it's a credit card or it's a car or a mortgage. These people are just having people run their credit because maybe they're looking for money. And that's the problem. Banks see this and they say, why do you have so much inquiries? Are you someone that's struggling for money? Are you someone that's struggling for cash? Are you strapped with cash and you're looking to borrow more money? Banks see that and they say, yeah, this person might be a risky borrower. All right? So if you're going to get a house, avoid applying for too much credit because they see that as a risk. They see you as someone that doesn't know how to manage money. They probably think you don't have any money and they're like, all right, this person needs some cash for some reason. I don't know what it is. So we're probably not gonna apply. Or they'll probably ask you like, what's up with all these inquiries? And they'll see if it's an auto loan or a personal loan. All these banks, they'll see it, so they'll know. And maybe they'll ask you like, what's going on? But you want to avoid that as possible because when they see that, that will be a red flag for them, and they will see you as a risky borrower. Number 6, check your credit reports for errors. That's a huge thing. Like a lot of people, there's so many errors in credit reports these days. You need to make sure that you're checking to make sure there aren't any errors. Identity theft, and especially now, especially with the pandemic. Like I think the 3 credit bureaus are allowing youth to have like. I think they're allowing for the rest of the year. They're allowing free credit reports. So usually you can only get it once a year, but now they're allowing you to do it like every week or every month or something like that. But this is a good time to make sure you're checking your credit report if you're someone that's looking to get a house, right? So you want to make sure you're checking for errors because as they go through your credit report, they're going to see, all right, they're going to go through it, and if there's any errors that you didn't know about it, that could, disqualify you for that loan. So you want to make sure as you're going, especially now, if you have the opportunity to look at your credit report, make sure it's clean, there's no errors, there's nothing that you're not familiar with. So when you go get that loan, they can make sure the process is nice and smooth. Right? So let's make sure you want to do that. All right. So check your credit report. You should be checking that thing at least once a year, anyways. But especially if you're looking to make a purchase on a home, check it just to run through it, just to make sure there's no errors. Right. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you got any comments or questions, make sure to leave it down below. Hit the like button, share, and please do not forget to subscribe. All right. So you guys take care and have a good one. Later.